Welcome to Living D-Free with Tamika Talks, where we focus on helping you live an authentic and financially free life, where you get to build your dreams. This unique show speaks specifically to Black women about money, while celebrating our strength, our culture, and our journey to financial freedom. Join me as we witness women and men leading us into the future. Living D-Free with Tamika Talks is a window into your best D-Free life. By embodying the D-Free way of living, gaining new tools to build a new future for yourself, and joining a community conversation where we share stories, learn, and invest in the future. Each episode explores topics from our quarterly magazine and includes interviews for people who, like you, are on their way to living their best lives. Tamika Talks is going to speak to women about our greatness, our success, our staying spiritually grounded, and remaining focused on our life's work. Living D-Free will take you on the road with me. You'll see where I've been, where D-Free has broken new ground, and how D-Free is helping others to get in the black. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. I'm your host, Tamika, and I'm so excited today to have one of my great girlfriends, no pun intended, Miss Sybil Amuti, boss mom, brand strategist, like mom, wife, mentor. She does some of everything. Sybil, welcome to Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here. I'm great. I'm super excited. I love what you're doing.
This is super special.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yay, thank you for coming. So we would have been twins 2 seconds ago, but I defaulted back to my natural black. So we're just going to stay with that. So tell me, okay, so we're in the diner right now, but you do 1,000,001 different things. Describe to me a day in the life of Superstar Sybil.
Oh, I love that. I think I'm going to start calling myself Superstar Sybil. That's fun.
Sybil, there it is.
You know, a day in the life varies for me because I do carry a number of titles that I operate in. And so a day, but there are some consistents.
Okay.
There are some non-negotiables in my day in my life, which is one, I'm typically in bed by 1 a.m. So a lot of people are well into their sleep by 9 or 10 at night. I go to bed at 1 a.m., 1 or 2 a.m., and then I'm up around 7 a.m. So my day sort of shifts a little bit differently than other people. But when I get up, I start out with a gratitude. That's just my consistent, non-negotiable. Thank you, Lord, you woke me up. You saw fit for me to have air today.
Right.
What are we doing with this breath today? And so that's sort of my intention of like, how are we going to use this oxygen today? And what is our day going to look like? And then the other non-negotiables are spending time with my husband and my kids early in the morning. So that's first. Our family morning prep is us spending time and cooking and getting ready to go out and do everything.
What the Amuti world is doing.
The Amuti world, oh my goodness. And once they're all out and the house is quiet, then my day begins. Okay. And so I start out with work emails. A lot of it is responsiveness, planning out client calls because I consult.
Okay.
So I'm doing a lot of that. A lot of follow-up with podcasts. So I have 2 podcasts, The Great Girlfriends and The Grace Podcast.
My
and
favorite.
with both of them, thank you. With both of them, I have interviews, a request for interviews that come in, and then we're scheduling. Yes, and then we have a conference. So there's always prep work around integrating brands and partners for that. And then there's meetings during the day that that seem to just keep coming and coming and coming. And by the time I look up, the kids are back home.
I love that. So you spoke a little bit about your consulting and the work that you do. I know you from Great Girlfriends, which is like just a joy for life, but there's so many other things you've done. Give us your Black Girl Magic resume. Like, what is Sybil Amuti look like professionally? What does she look like?
Okay, interestingly enough, my Black Girl resume varies. As I started out, I graduated school with a degree in urban planning. So you would probably go, how did I go from urban planning to sitting here talking about...
Oh, I think I know this one. Go
ahead,
well,
let's see if you get this bridge.
Go ahead.
And so after I graduated and I went out looking for jobs and I found out that planners make no money, I was like, wow, how am I going to be able to afford the quality of life that I desire? So I started to invest more of my time into the technology, which is GIS technology. And this is many moons ago, before there were maps on everybody's phone. There were actual technologists who were creating the maps. So I spent time creating the maps behind the scenes. And with maps, you're able to create consumer data. Maps can tell you insights about the way people live and how they navigate and where they spend their money and where you should invest your resources as a brand, right?
That makes sense.
And who you need to communicate with. You can take a really great look at your target market. So this is the geek in me, right? I'm totally geeked out.
This is like pre-Great Girlfriend.
This is pre-Great Girlfriend geekology. Okay. But this was me finding the money in my career path. Smart. And also finding a passion that I love, which was the technology and the innovation of learning about consumers through maps. So in doing that, I started to get called into the room for marketing because people wanted to know who they were talking to.
Because you know the business now.
You know the business. What do they look like? Where do they live? How do they spend their money? What's their income?
Right.
All the census data that is acquired over time, every 10 years, all of that stuff is placed on maps. All the data that they acquire at the register when they take your zip code, all of that mapping data is used to find out who you are and how you live and where they can then put their retail location. So that's when I got called into rooms to talk about marketing. And that gave me it gave me a bridge into consumers and understanding behaviors and understanding how to communicate outwardly to consumers. And so that led me down the road of marketing into branding. And so I spent a number of years consulting with brands on those type of things. How do you communicate the right message to your consumers at the right time so that they can convert?
Because you knew the people.
Because you move the people. You see how the people move, and you can just position yourselves where the people are. And that influences, how they interact with your brand.
So funny story, when I'm doing dfree training around the country, I'm always telling people, like, when you're online lurking in the middle of the night and you see those shoes, and then before you can close the window from Macy's, it shows up in your Facebook ad.
Absolutely.
I'm normally in church and I have to tell people that that's not Jesus. It's actually people like Sybil and who've done the background research to know who you are, what time you're looking, where you live, and why those red shoes are available to you right down the street from your house.
Yes.
Sybil did the background for that.
Yes, and there are teams of people that are manipulating data to present it to you in different facets, in different spaces in your life so that you can buy into it, because it's all about the consumption game.
Right.
So I help brands convert. That's ultimately what I would help them to do, and also translate their messaging.
Talk to us a little bit about Legacy Row.
So Legacy Row was about establishing a brand consultancy that allowed brands to be very forward-thinking, still present in the market, but forward-thinking in terms of where their brand could sit 100 years from now. How do we get the Coca-Colas, the Betty Crockers, the Pepsis? How do we sit 100 years from now in brands that are still participating fully in the market and have a home there?
Right.
And something that you can pass down to your family. And a huge opportunity for people is to not just to think outside of the box of where you come from, but to think of what the world around you needs.
Like, and what they're gonna look like later.
Absolutely.
So, I introduced you as my great girlfriend. I'm not really sure where I got that term, but it might be some, I don't know, it's just out there in the atmosphere. But what is a great girlfriend, or what is the great girlfriend?
The Great Girlfriends is our pod baby. That's what I call it.
I love that.
It's our pod baby, and it was our pod baby that was birthed out of a friendship that I share with my co-founder, who's Brandis Daniel, who's been my friend for 9 years now. And she was my sofa friend, and we met through a great girlfriend who thought that we should know each other. And come to find out, we were at an event that we were both from Memphis, and we had no idea. You're from Memphis, I'm from Memphis. What high school did you go to? We did that full exchange of Memphis, what? And after we did that, there was just this moment, I don't know, we just connected, and we locked, and we found synergy. And over the course of the 7 years of friendship that we had at the time, we continued to build relationship and rapport. We shared, intimate conversation about life, marriage, family, business, everything. I'm on the board of her company, and she helped to really give me a good, sharp foundation when I was pulling out plans for my business, etc. And so we got to a point where, again, I had the epiphany that I needed to be more of myself, and I needed to introduce the world to the other facets of who I am. And she was in the same space where she needed to open up more of the mentorship space that she's in to the world as well. So we said, how are we going to do this? We can't put any more money in any more ventures. We are strapped right now. Right. How are we going to do this for free? Okay, we're going to introduce a podcast. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about everything that we get hit with on text and inbox and emails and questions. Every panel we've ever spoken on, any question that women have, we're going to answer it. And if we don't have the answers, we'll find a woman who wants to stand in the gap for another woman and answer that question.
Okay. So you are superstar Sybil. Last question. What's your definition of success?
I think success is the freedom to have curious ambition. Just the freedom to explore.
Let's see how deep she is. Did y'all hear that? Wait.
And when I say freedom, it's a mental piece, it's a spiritual piece, it's an emotional piece. It's a physical piece, and it's a curiosity that allows you to say, you know what, with this freedom, I can go out and explore different pieces of who I am. One day I can knit, one day I can sing, one day I can dance, one day I can build a business, one day I can build a family. I can do all of these things, and I won't quit on it. I'm just going to continue to pursue my curiosity with freedom. I think that's what it is. I really do. That's how I feel successful.
Well, there you have it. Clearly, she is a living, breathing example of success in that definition. Sybil, thank you so much for joining us today on Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. You guys can follow and stay connected to Miss Sybil Amuti. How do they find you?
Yes, my website is www.sybilamuti.com. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Sybil, SYBIL_AMUTI.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us on Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm just excited to share your story with our listeners and viewers. Welcome back to Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. I'm your host, Tamika, and I have the pleasure today of connecting with my OG, the Oprah to my Gail, or the Gail to my Oprah, depending on how we're working together, Miss Janiah Lake, our D-Free engagement lead. Welcome to the diner. Welcome to Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. So I'll dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with D-Free.
So I lead the engagement team, and that just basically is everything that is launching around the country. So launching D-Free individually, launching D-Free in churches, organizations, groups, whatever it looks like for you, I'm the one to help you do that. So I get everyone started wherever they are on this financial journey.
How did you get here?
I met Dr. Soaries when it was just Dr. Soaries and his book. He had just been on CNN with Soledad O'Brien, and I actually brought him out to Oregon. I know that's weird. I was in Oregon. My background is banking, and I was looking to bring his program because we were focused on the African American community and wealth and finance and ways to generate wealth and looking at the racial wealth gap, and seeing him in this program that he was doing. It was something that we wanted to try to bring out there.
So I know that we have the pleasure of traveling around the country together a lot, but you're a working mom. How do you manage your lifestyle and balance work and everything else that you have going on in your life?
Well, one, my son is grown, so he's 22, so he's off, doing his thing. Shout out to my son. But my daughter's 14, and so she's like a little grown woman herself. I think she has a whole career in business, and so really I feel like her manager more than her mom. But, I have a village. We all work together. I think my daughter really appreciates sometimes when I leave, but we always have a great time when we're together. And so I'm blessed in that really it's that village of raising, your children in a community.
So what has been the biggest challenge of being a working mother?
I think all along the way there's been sacrifices. My background, I was an executive in banking, and so it was a high travel position as well in the market that I served. And at any given time, travel, you sacrifice being away from home and momming and managing from afar. And so you may miss things, you may not be there all the time. And sometimes your self-talk has to be real positive in splitting that time, And I'm very passionate about my communities. And so I'm splitting that with, momming and managing my house and that passion to raise my children, as well as the passion to impact our communities in that way. And so I think time you sacrifice, sometimes it's your peace of mind. Sometimes it is self-care, and you're trying to have all of this on a list at the same time.
So what does success mean to you?
Success would be primarily for me as a mom, how my children grow up and become the people that they are going to be, and how that success looks for them in that space, and how they live their life. And from a career standpoint, I have the benefit of being able to utilize this career I've built to live this passion. And so I've had the blessing to, really go out into the community and infuse this experience and things that I've learned and gleaned up to this point, and infuse that back out in the community.
Well, Janiah, it's truly been a pleasure to have you on Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. I appreciate the work that you do for D-Free so much, but I love having this personal window into who you are as a working mom, in addition to all the things that you do in your work. This has been another tremendous episode of Living D-Free with Tamika Talks. I am your host, Tamika, and we'll see you next time.